Okay, I'm going to go over mounting the nacelle. That's section G, step 7. The nacelle, they've got some spacers in here where the nacelle mounts go. The nacelle mounts to this side post, and this, the nacelle mounts to this frame spacer and this frame spacer. I'm going to make sure I clean that back bulkhead up so I can slide my nacelle all the way against it and get it as far back as possible. Even with that, I think I could stand to be forward. Still stand to be forward. I got it against the bulkhead. Well, I guess that bulkhead's about right. Liking that. Looks like this front's way up. I noticed that block of wood in there is way thick. But the front's way up, so I could bring the front down would help a bunch too. Like, I don't remember this block ever being that thick. I'm going to take a sanding disc and cut off a significant amount of that. I'll start out with something about that thick, which is maybe 1/8 of an inch in the middle there. Now this is not looking too bad. I got, of course I could need to slide it in more, but I got my spinner. Looks really nicely centered. And these lines look like they're going to match up pretty good. I may have to cut this a little deeper here, but it looks like a nice and consistent. So with that, when I kind of adjust that aft mount, it looks pretty good. You know, you can adjust this aft mount inboard and outboard to try to keep this gap consistent for when I get it slid all the way in. Once you keep the spinner, you want to keep it centered, the front end, you want to keep it centered on the spinner. You want to adjust that mount inboard and outboard on the back to keep this gap consistent. And once you get that, I'm going to mark with a pencil the location of these back holes. And for this one, that was all the way back, so I need to be 2.35 millimeters. So I'm going to mark 2.35. So I'm going to measure to that far side of that bulkhead, zero it, and then go 2.35. That should get me a much better idea of where those screws belong. I'm gonna look in there. This screw hole on this side, my mark is just to the outside of that screw hole. So it's just to the outside. This screw hole my mark looks almost to be lined up with it. So this screw hole looks to be about the right spot. So I drill these up with a little bit bigger drill bit. Just to give me some adjustment room. Two millimeter, 2.5 millimeter, 2.5 millimeters. Then the reason why I had you early on drill a through hole in this plate here is so you can actually see light through there, and those are lining up. Okay, notice the kit doesn't come with any mounting screws for these Nacelles covers. And I buy these from Micro Fasteners, and we'll see about getting that fixed, but until we do. And they're long, they're over 1 centimeter long, but I like that. It makes it easy to install, and you've got the extra room. And then they've got a nice big pan head on them. The only problem with those is they got a real weird driver size. It's like a 1.5 millimeter hex that you'll have to get, but the fact that they're long makes them really easy to install. And they've got a nice big pan head on them. So that's looking a lot better. I'm just going to see how close my front ones are now with that change. Where it's still too far back a little bit, I can tell. And I'm not sure where we are center yet. I'll have to figure that out. I'm going to use a sharp drill bit here. I'm going to try to scratch that location in, see if we're even close. Okay, so there's that little scratch mark I made, so I got to go forward 1 millimeter and inboard 1 millimeter. So I think I can just push that hole mounting in board. So the old hole location ends up being on the edge of that original hole. With that big hole and the through hole, you can just see in there with a little light, and you can see now what I do is